Hello viewers, this is Just Fake Network TV, a place where you can get the latest information about Nigeria news and now the news in details. OBASANJO writes former African president rallies support for AfDB's Adesina. Former president of Nigeria Olusegun Obasanjo has called on former African president to support the president of African Development Bank, AfDB, Dr. Akinwumi Adesina, in the midst of controversial probe from outside the African region. Obasanjo took time out of exhaust some of the achievements of the former Minister of Agriculture as the president of AfDB. In its 4-page letter, which he copied 14 former presidents, Obasanjo noted that despite the achievements and impressive leadership and passion for Africa's fast-paced development, some non-regional member countries of AfDB are trying to frustrate Dr. Adesina's re-election. Obasanjo warned that if we do not rise up and defend the African Development Bank, this might mean the end of the African Development Bank, as its government would be hijacked away from the Africa. He also proposed, as a step going forward, that we are collectively issued a press statement to support the lay-down procedure embarked upon to evaluate the allegations against the president of the bank, and to recommend that the Board of Governors as well as the Ethics Committee should stand up their process and its outcome. While throwing his weight behind the presidency of Dr. Adesina, Obasanjo enthused that the bank has been effectively positioned as an effective global institution, ranked 14th globally in terms of transparency among 45 multilateral and bilateral institutions by Publish What You Fund, an outfit that consists of 19 developed economies. Dr. Adesina led the bank to successfully launch at the G7 summit in Paris, France, the Affirmative Finance Action for Women, AFAWA, to mobilize $3 billion for women businesses and entrepreneurs in Africa, with strong support and resources from G7 leaders and nations. The bank also substantially aligned its financing and operations to help accelerate Agenda 2063 and the High Five agenda of the bank: Light Up and Power Africa, Feed Africa, Industrialize Africa, Integrate Africa, and improve the quality of life of the people of Africa, are achieving good results. Over the past 4 years, it is estimated that 18 million people were provided with access to electricity through Light Up and Power African. 141 million people gained access to improved agricultural technologies for food security through Feed African. 13 million people benefited from access to finance from private sector investment projects through Industrialize Africa. 101 million people benefited from access to better transport through Integrate Africa. 60 million people benefit from improved access to water and sanitation under Improved Quality of Life for the people of Africa. In summary, in less than 5 years under Dr. Adesina's leadership, the bank's investments have benefited and impacted a total of 333 million Africans. On how the Adesina-led administration stood on top of the ravaging COVID-19, Obasanjo wrote, "You will agree with me that these achievements are commendable, and the bank has been placed in a strategic position to fast-track Africa's development." Finally, under Dr. Adesina's leadership of the bank, it has continued to maintain its AAA rating by all global rating agencies over the past 5 years. As Africa faces COVID-19, Dr. Adesina again took bold measures to ensure that the bank can respond proactively to support African countries, and got its board of directors to approve a $10 billion crisis response facility to support African countries. In addition, the bank successfully launched a $3 billion flight COVID-19 social impact bond on the international capital market, secured at 0.75% interest rates. The social bond. The social bond is the largest US dollars dominated bond ever in world history. The bond is now listed on the London Stock Exchange, where it has been oversubscribed at $4.6 billion. A full letter reads, Olusegun Obasanjo at Gweri Road, Ibara, Abeokuta, Ogun State. Your Excellency, I hope that you are keeping well in the midst of this current COVID-19 pandemic that we are all going through in Africa and all over the world. I am writing to you in respect of the development at the African Development Bank. As you may be aware, the president of the bank, Dr. Akinwumi Adesina, has performed very well in this platform over the past 5 years. He has taken the bank to great heights. In 2020, he led the bank to achieve a historic general capital increase, raising the capital of the bank from $93 billion to $208 billion, an increase of $155 billion, the highest in the history of the bank since its establishment in 1964. I have been made to understand that the bank also successfully raised funds from donor countries of over $7 billion for the African Development Fund, 15th replenishment for low-income countries, an increase of 35% under his leadership. The bank launched the African Investment Forum to mobilize massive flows of capital to Africa. The inaugural launch of the AIF held in Johannesburg, South Africa, secured 38.7 billion of investment interest within less than 72 hours. The AIF event held in 2019 went even further and secured $40.1 billion of investment interest in less than 72 hours. Africa has never seen this kind of financial investment interest. The bank has been effectively positioned as an effective global institution, ranked 4th globally in terms of transparency among 45 multilateral and bilateral institutions by Publish What You Fund, an outfit that consists of 19 developed economies. Dr. Adesina led the bank to successfully launch at the G7 summit in Paris, France, the Affirmative Finance Action for Women to mobilize $3 billion for women businesses and entrepreneurs in Africa, with strong support and resources from G7 leaders and nations. So despite this achievement and impressive leadership for the bank and passion for Africa's fast-paced development, and its clear endorsement by all of African countries for re-election for his second term, there are some attempts led by some non-regional members country of the bank to frustrate his re-election. At issue are some allegations made by some whistleblowers that allege that Dr. Adesina violated code of ethics as president. Dr. Adesina strongly denied the allegation as fabrications and misinformation to disparage and discredit him. The laid-down due process at the bank, the Ethics Committee of the Board of Directors, chaired by the Executive Director from Japan, and with members who represent shareholders' members' country, evaluated the allegation over a period of 3 months. The Ethics Committee of the Board of Directors, after examination of each of the 16 allegations of the whistleblowers, had dismissed each and all the allegations are baseless and without any substantiation. The chairman of the Board of Governors of the bank, following review of the Ethics Committee report exonerating Dr. Adesina, concurred with the conclusions and exonerated Dr. Adesina of all the allegations. The Ethics Committee and the chairman of the Board of Governors had performed their duties as laid down in the rules of regulations of the bank. Unfortunately, the U.S. government, through the U.S. Treasury Secretary, has written a public letter that was also distributed to the press globally to disagree with the conclusions of the Ethics Committee of the Board of Directors and the chairman of the Board of Governors of the bank. Instead of accepting the exonerations of the president of the bank, they called for an independent investigations. This is outside of the rules, law, procedure, and governance system of the bank. The U.S. Treasury Secretary disparaged the bank and ridiculed the entire governance systems of the bank, which has been in place since 1964. This is unprecedented in the annals of the African Development Bank Group. If we do not rise up and defend the African Development Bank, this might mean the end of the African Development Bank, as its governance will be hijacked away from Africa. I therefore propose that we all collectively issue a press statement to support the laid-down procedures embarked upon to evaluate the allegations against the president of the bank and to recommend that the Board of Governors, as well as the Ethics Committee of the bank, should firmly stand by their process and its outcomes. We should speak against the introduction of alien practices being recommended by some parties, given that such recommendations fall aside the laid-down procedure, law, rules, and regulations of the bank. It is also critical that we emphasize the need for the ADB to remain an African-focused development bank rather than one which serves interests outside Africa. I have taken the liberty to offer a draft of the proposed joint statement for your kind review, input, or endorsement. My head, Atom Lim, will share the draft statement and collate your respective response for me. He is reachable via atom@lim@yahoo.com. Please accept your Excellency the assurances of my highest esteem and consideration. Wow, so guys, what is your own take about this? Your comment is highly appreciated, and kindly drop your comment at the comment section below. We all know that Obasanjo is one of the best presidents in Nigeria. We cannot dispute that. And kudos to the former president. So kindly drop your comment. For those who are yet to subscribe, kindly press the subscription button too, and God bless you. Have a wonderful day. Bye.